how to get your puppy to look at the camera. What's that? What's this? Hello, so I just thought I'd film a video talking about my experience having a puppy 2 months in, specifically a toddler puppy, because it has been a lot. It's not been easy. There's been many tears in the first couple of months, and I just wanted to make this video just in case anyone else is struggling or they're thinking of getting a toddler puppy and just want an honest experience of what it's been like. So this is going to be my experience over the past 2 months or so, since bringing her home about 9 weeks old. She is now 4, almost 5 months old, and she's getting so big. So just ask you guys for questions on Instagram and also on YouTube if you had any questions about puppies, how I found having a puppy, how I found having a toddler, just any questions about River in general, and I'm going to answer them as honestly as possible. Okay, please excuse her crunching in the background, but if you haven't seen the video of me bringing her home, I highly recommend watching that first because she looks entirely different to how she looks now. She's grown super quick. But the first question is, how have you experienced teething with River? My puppy would shred absolutely everything if I let her. So in terms of like destroying things around the house, I think she chewed one wire, which, considering how many wires we've got around, she's not really showing much interest, thank God. Touch wood, she doesn't start showing interest because she wasn't really too bad chewing things like the sofa or wires and stuff. When it comes to us with teething, that was probably one of the hardest things to deal with. Other puppies that I've been around and raised, I don't remember them being this bad. She was so relentless. You honestly couldn't have a moment with her unless she was like fully unconscious. Where she wasn't biting you, I'd say, until she was around maybe 12, 14 weeks. It was rough. So you couldn't you had this cute puppy that you just wanted to cuddle and give attention to, and you just couldn't really because you'd get bitten on the face, your hands, your hair, everything. But it was really difficult having this tiny adorable thing that you just want to show affection to, but they're hurting you constantly. It is really frustrating. We did everything that they recommend to do when it comes to teething and puppies biting you, and honestly just waiting for her teeth to fall out and for her to not be as bitey as she grows up has been the only thing that's really worked. And most of it was just management and just hiding from her when she was wanting to bite, obviously redirecting her into toys and stuff, but it was just relentless, wasn't it? Have you found River being a toddler tricky to train, or maybe more stubborn than others? She is so easy to train because she's so intelligent. It takes her like minutes to pick things up and figure out what I'm asking of her, but I'd say in the last couple of weeks she's definitely started to show her stubborn side. If she doesn't want to do something, then she is not going to do it. So I guess in that regard it does make things a little bit trickier, but the intelligence definitely makes up for it. What was the hardest stage / week? I'd say maybe the first week, no, the second week, because in the first week everything's new and exciting and you've got all this adrenaline, and then in the second week the novelty kind of wears off a little bit and you're exhausted. You've got this puppy that doesn't really know you, you don't really know them yet, and you're just trying to figure things out. That was super hard. I'd say also when she was 12 weeks old I struggled because she went through a bit of a fear period where everything that she was completely fine with before she was scared of. I scared her by accident at one point, and that just made me really sad. So those two. Is she quiet or does she bark a lot? Luckily, fingers crossed, because dogs barking is one of my biggest pet peeves. She doesn't bark that much unless she has a reason to, or something really does set her off. She's generally quite quiet when it comes to barking. If another dog is barking in excitement, then she will kind of bark back, but fingers crossed she's not too barky, which is good. How long did you have to wait to get a toddler, as I know there's a waiting list for them? Yes, so I joined my waiting list in April of 2021, so almost 2 years of waiting for her, and it felt like a lifetime, honestly. We have moved house since then, so many things have changed since then that are all in her best interest, so a very long worthwhile wait. Some people don't have as much of a waiting list. It can be much more to like a year, maybe 6 months sometimes, but it can be quite a long wait, so definitely keep that in mind if some people are wanting a toddler and wanting one like next month. It's not really gonna happen. Do toddlers find it hard to settle in? I'd say any puppy, it's a massive change for them coming into a new space and a new home. Some puppies will struggle with that much more than others, but toddlers can be quite sensitive, so maybe that change does affect them more than other like well-rounded breeds like golden retrievers. I know some people that get a puppy and they just don't even notice they've left their mum and their litter mate, so every puppy is different, but maybe toddlers struggle with it a little bit more than others because they are so sensitive, and she did find it quite hard, so maybe they do struggle. I'd say also toddlers are quite orientated to the people they're used to and the people they live with, so being with the breeders for 8 weeks and then being uprooted and being with people that she doesn't really know maybe didn't help when it comes to her settling in. She did find the first couple of days really hard and she was quite sad, which obviously made me sad, so she didn't settle in maybe as well as some other breeds might. Is she vocal like most toddlers? So she's not done the toddler scream yet, which I'm awaiting its appearance. I did say earlier that she doesn't really bark very much, but she is quite vocal in other areas. When she's in her crate and she's asleep, she makes some really interesting like old man grunting noises that are super loud, so that's quite funny. But also just generally, if she's not getting something she wants or not getting her way, she is very vocal in protesting and telling you that she wants to do what she wants to do. So she has started talking back, and in that regard she is quite vocal. Does she have a good food drive? Yes, thankfully, because I don't know how anyone trains a dog that doesn't have a food drive. I think I'd struggle in that area, but she does have a very good food drive. Specifically with cheese, she's obsessed with cheese, and that is the one thing that makes her like do anything you ask of her. So she does have a good food drive in the house and also outside of the house, which I'm very glad about, and she loves food a lot. Products you regret buying. There's a few that I thought were going to be really good and I was excited to use, but turned out they're just not that great for us personally. So first one I'd probably say is yak shoes. I've seen people using these all over the internet, and firstly she's not really fussed by them. She doesn't really enjoy them for more than like a couple of seconds, and I've also had a couple of DMs of people warning me that they've broken their dog's teeth, so don't think I'll be buying any more yak shoes going forward. They are quite expensive considering that she's not really that interested in them anyway, so that would be, thank you River, yeah, thank you. The second thing is something that I showed in my puppy haul video, and that's like a squeezy bottle that I bought. I think it's supposed to be for like cosmetics when you're traveling or something. I've seen people using these to put like peanut butter in and training their dogs outside, having a really easy accessible thing to squeeze treats out of. This worked for a little bit and then it just kind of gave up on me. The lid popped off at one point and it won't really go back on, and like the peanut butter is just kind of going everywhere, so it's more hassle than it's worth. Now I'm just using like tubes of Primula cheese instead. It's really easy to just squeeze into her mouth. What are you doing, dog? What are you doing? So yeah, that is most of the things. Also I bought a lot of enrichment toys. They're kind of like Kong shaped and they're just a nightmare to clean. I'm not really one of those people that wants to spend ages like scrubbing the inside of dog enrichment toys. I want ones that can just go in the dishwasher, and that's kind of all I have to do. So can you watch my camera please? So some of them I just can't clean them for the life of me. I've stuck things in and they've still got like little bits of dog food and stuff at the top, which is not ideal. So I probably wouldn't buy things like that again that aren't that easy to clean. And then on the flip side, products I've loved using with her. I bought way too many dog toys and products, but it does mean that I've tried a fair few. So first ones that I do really love are Soda Pup dog toys. They are quite expensive, I think because a lot of brands have to ship them from the US, and that does put the prices up, but generally I found these to be really good quality, a bit better quality than things like Licky Mat and other like off-brand enrichment toys. They're really good. She's not put like holes in them or anything when she's been chewing them, so they are really good quality, and I think I will continue to buy them, just not at the rate that I have been buying dog toys. And then one thing that's kept her really entertained and lasts quite a while is pizzles. I won't go into too much detail about what these are actually made from. If you want to know, you can Google it because it is pretty gross. but in her best interest she really does like them, so those have been a lifesaver in just giving her something to keep her occupied if we're in a restaurant or a cafe or just at home and I need a second of peace. Those have been really good. And then kind of similar to what I was just talking about with my like least favourite products, recently I bought an enrichment toy that's really good. It's kind of like a Kong concept where you stuff things inside, but you can actually separate this in the middle, which makes filling it way easier and also cleaning it too. So that one I think was about £15, which is a bit pricier, but saves me the cleaning, so definitely worth it. I can't remember what brand that is. I will link it in the description. In your opinion, what are the most important things to socialise a puppy with? So if you're not raising a puppy to be an assistance dog that has to be okay with every situation, I'd say focus on things that you want to do with your dog in the future. So a lot of people make the mistake of having a dog that they're not showing the world until they're about 6 months old, or showing them things that they want to do. If you want to take your dog to a cafe, for example, don't wait until they're 6 months old to show them that kind of environment. If you want a dog that you can take to restaurants and cafes and have sitting calmly next to you, if you do that on a regular basis, if you're like a restaurant person, then take them out in a sling or something. If you're a really active person, you do swimming, you go to the beach, you do paddleboarding, and that's something you want your dog to be involved in eventually, make sure you're socialising them to that kind of environment and water and swimming from an early age. Don't wait until they're better behaved and older to do that, because it's really important your dogs are kind of well adjusted to your lifestyle now, or what you eventually want it to be with your dog. So just thinking about what kind of things you either do at the moment or you'd like to do with your dog eventually. Make sure you're showing them all of these things during their like crucial socialization window. I'm getting a toddler soon. Anything specific I should prepare for? The only thing that comes to mind in those like first early days is maybe get some ear defenders, because their crying is on another level. I've heard puppies crying generally when they're upset, and nothing was consoling her in those first couple days. Food, us, nothing. The screaming, the crying was honestly like on another level. I was so happy that we're in a detached house, because you could still hear it from outside. I was still embarrassed that she was crying that much and people thought we were maybe abusing her or something when we weren't. She was just upset adapting to a new environment. So maybe for your own sanity, ear defenders if you live in like a flat or something, or a attached house with someone else and neighbours. Maybe just give them a little heads up that you're bringing a puppy home and it might be a bit loud, because from my experience and her siblings' experience, the first couple of days are very loud, and I wish I had noise cancelling headphones because it was a lot. What is your best tip for socialising a puppy? So the first thing I do is have a look online for like a checklist. There's a list of things to socialise your puppy to. Don't try and do them all, because it is going to be impossible. There are so many things I had on my checklist, like clowns, people in costumes, that I don't encounter ever really around this area, so finding them for her to see is going to be pretty impossible. But we did our best. We ticked off a lot of things in that first crucial socialisation period. And then I'd also say get yourself either a sling or something that I wish I'd got sooner, because she got pretty heavy pretty quickly and did outgrow her sling pretty quickly. Is like a pushchair or something. You are going to look really silly, but it makes people smile when you're going around. Just something to transport them, because carrying them, it's really hard to like give them treats if your hands aren't free. So either a sling or a pushchair is, I'd say, pretty crucial. You can find these secondhand on like Facebook Marketplace, just so you're not paying full price just for a couple of weeks of using them. So definitely some mode of like transporting them around that's not going to be your arms like aching the whole time. What has been the most difficult thing with having a puppy so far? I'd say it's not really having the actual puppy itself. It's everyone else's response to the puppy that I just get so frustrated with. I could go on a rant about this for like 3 hours straight, but you're trying to train her. I have expectations of what I want her to act like as a dog, and I'm trying so hard to get there. But things like with her jumping up, I'm telling people, please just ignore her until all 4 feet are on the floor. And they just don't listen. They're like all over her, and I'm like, you're not helping me at all. And just out and about, people with other dogs, you've got everything possible. You've got a thing on her lead saying to keep back, please don't come over with your dogs or yourself, just ignore us. And people will make a deliberate attempt drag their dogs over to you when you're like stepping to the side so they can say hi, and by the time you said no thank you, we're training, it's already happened, and it's just so frustrating. So other people's ignorance when it comes to dogs and dog training and just dog manners in general, I could go on a rant about this for such a long time, but that's definitely been the hardest part, because I know what I want and my expectations. Trying to get other people on board with this probably won't ever fully happen, so just trying to manage her around other people, I'd say it's been the hardest thing. Also, I appreciate this is kind of gross, she doesn't always eat her dinner on the sofa, but I really want her to be in this video and not just my face, so anything to keep her still for 5 seconds and be in the shot, I'm gonna do it and then worry about the mess later. So this one I like. It says, other than the added responsibility, how has River impacted your day-to-day life? In some aspects it has been negative. I've been so tired, and there has been moments where I've just been crying non-stop, which I don't think I've cried this much in a very long time. Right now we're good. I'm sure in a couple of weeks something else is going to be a challenge and frustrating, or make me sad and make me cry again, but right now we're good. And I'd say in the positive aspects, I have never been a morning person. I suffer from chronic fatigue anyway, but I've just never been a morning person. She has forced me to have to be, because she needs me. I need to be up and feeding her, looking after her, so in that regard she's kind of forced me to have a bit more of a strict routine, and also forced me to be a bit more productive, because I have to get things done as and when she's resting or sleeping or having downtime. That's my only chance to get things done. So in that regard I've got a bit more of a routine that I didn't really have before, because I wasn't really that strict on myself about getting things done when I should be doing them, if that makes sense. So she has given me much more structure in my day-to-day life, which I guess is a good thing. Will we get another dog the same breed as River after her, or I guess during her? I think the answer to this is no. I'm not really that kind of person that when they get something they want a whole collection and a bunch of them, unless it's like social animals like rats and mice, where you kind of have to. Like when I got my leopard gecko, I've always wanted one, I got one, and then that's it. When I had my Dalmatian growing up, I've not really got any desire to have another Dalmatian again, even though they're like not the right breed for me at all. So Toddlers have always been my favourite breed, and they still are, but I think I've got one now, I've had one. Life is so short, there are so many dog breeds I would love to experience, and rescue dogs too, so I don't think I would get another one unless like a few years down the line I was really missing having one and wanted another one, but I don't think so. Funniest moment slash horror story, please. Again, I can't really think of like a funniest moment. We've had a few like horror stories. One thing that I guess kind of tie into this, kind of funny, it's kind of not. She had a phase when she was a puppy where she would be scared of pooping. Nothing really wrong with it. She just ate a bunch of grass and like plants and stuff that she shouldn't, but it was so hard to stop her. So she had a lot of like fibre down there, and she'd get like a little bit stuck, or it'd get stuck coming out. And I'm sure my neighbours probably thought that we were doing wicked, awful things to her, because she would get scared of like the poop coming out, and she would do laps around the garden just screaming because the poop was following her and chasing her. I've probably got a clip of it somewhere on our like backdoor camera, but the first time it happened I honestly thought she'd got stung by a bee or she broke her leg or something. Nope, she was just scared because her dingleberry was following her around the garden and she didn't like it. So that I guess is kind of funny, kind of not, because to her that was like the worst case horror story moment. But yeah, that was all of the questions I wanted to answer in this video. I hope it's kind of covered my experience so far of having a puppy, and specifically a toddler puppy or a high energy breed puppy. It has definitely not been easy, I can't stress that enough. If you're struggling, if you're feeling emotional, feeling all of these feelings you don't expect to have when bringing home a tiny puppy, it is completely normal to have the puppy blues, because it's the closest thing you're going to have to bringing home a human baby. It's a lot, it's stressful, you're losing sleep, you're losing your mind. It's just a lot to adapt to. So if you are watching this and you have a puppy, or you're about to bring one home very soon, please know it's normal to feel such strong emotions generally and towards your puppy, that obviously you love them so much, but I'd say it's taken until about now 12-14 weeks onwards for me to actually like her. Obviously I've loved her from the start, but to actually like her and feel like I've got a bond with her, which is relatively normal. But yeah, please know there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone keeps warning me the teenage phase is coming and that's going to be 10 times worse than the tiny puppy stage, which I'm trying not to think too much about that at the moment. Just enjoying her being a good, relatively good girl at the moment, and listening to me being so smart and really fun to train. I'm really enjoying this stage at the moment, so just gonna soak it up and not think too far ahead about how challenging things might be in the next couple of months. But I actually love this dog to death. I'm just so in love with her. She's so fun to train, and when she was ill last week, I actually did miss her being crazy and being able to train her and take her on walks and stuff. So I am just really happy that we've got to this place where I'm not losing my mind, I'm not losing sleep, and all of the hard work is starting to pay off. But yeah, thank you for sending in your questions. River is well and truly enjoying her dinner at the moment. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video soon.